Hey friends, welcome back to yoga. Great to have you. Today we're going to be working on opening through our shoulders, our upper back, and our chest. Areas we all get super tight in just from all the texting, typing, driving, everything that we do that we're kind of rounded forward, right? So we're going to work on opening that up. Not only just feels great, but it helps to kind of uplift the mood too as we begin to open that heart center, that center of energy there in that upper chest, and also just helping with our posture, which helps our breath flow a little easier, and all kinds of good benefits. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to begin in a child's pose. I know that's not accessible for everybody, so it's always an option to be in seated or standing, whatever you would like. But if it works for you, go ahead and bring those knees to the floor, maybe a little further than hip width apart. Big toes can come towards one another. And then go ahead and just extend those arms forward, finding a space for your forehead to rest, whether it's on your mat, or you can bring those hands back in and stack those hands and rest your forehead on the hands. Just give yourself a few moments here. Maybe you shift that weight side to side a little bit through those hips. Maybe you walk those fingertips a little further away from the body as we begin to find some space and some length through the side body and through the spine. Beginning to just find that breath today. Maybe taking a few full breaths in, just filling the entire torso with that fresh air, that fresh breath, and then just exhaling it all the way out. You might start to acknowledge the floor beneath you. And rather than thinking about your body sinking into the floor, maybe try thinking about the floor pressing up into the body, lifting, supporting you, holding you up. And once again, let's just take a full breath in. Nice long breath out. And then go ahead and find those fingertips. Try to keep those fingertips connected to the floor. We're just going to walk them forward as far as we can. And then maybe we start to walk all those fingertips, the hands over to the left side. Shifting your weight through those hips, maybe over to the right side a little further. Sending that breath or that awareness into that right side body. Trying to drop that right shoulder a little closer to the floor. And then go ahead and walk those hands back through center. And we're going to walk the hands over to the right side. Maybe leaning those hips over to the left. Gently dropping those shoulders down towards the ground, especially that left shoulder. And then you can walk those hands back to center, slowly shifting that weight forward and up as we come onto those hands and knees. And go ahead and lift those feet off the floor and just take a few circles with those ankles. Getting a little bit of blood back into those feet. All right, and then bringing those feet back to the floor. Maybe walk those hands in towards or underneath those shoulders and knees about hip width apart. We're going to move through a few cat and cows here, but you always have the option. You can do this on hands and knees, or if you feel more comfortable on the knees or seated, you can do it here as well. So as always, just listen to the body, find out what works for you. But maybe on a breath in, let's begin to open through the front of the body. So maybe turning that gaze up towards the ceiling, reaching the heart forward. We're going to pause here just for a breath so we can really check in and notice what this feels like in the body. Try to draw those shoulders down the back. We're lifting up through those hips. And then think about drawing those palms towards those knees just for another breath. And then on a breath out, go ahead and round through the spine. Taking a moment here to pause and check in. Maybe that gaze is down back towards those feet, the chin towards the chest. And with those hands, think about pressing into the floor or the floor pressing into those hands. Rounding, broadening through those shoulder blades as the navel draws up towards the spine. And let's take 5 breaths here. Moving with that breath. Inhaling as you lift the heart, reaching the chest forward, the shoulders back. And then exhaling as we round through the arms, the shoulders, pressing into those hands. Inhaling as we open. And exhaling as we round. Just continuing to move with your breath. Again, you can always do the seated or on those knees and just inhale and lift tall. Shoulders draw back and exhaling as they come forward. Let's go once more in each direction. Or one more breath if you are holding. And on that next breath out, as you begin to round through the spine, let's reach those hips back towards the heels just for another moment, extending those arms forward. So then as you inhale and come forward, our hips come out in front of those knees. So coming into like a kneeling plank. And then on the exhale, we're going to bend those elbows and lower all the way down to the chest and the belly. And then on the inhale, just take a big shoulder roll up, back, and down. So shoulders lift off the floor. The chest might be lifted. It might still be touching the floor. That works too. Just try to have those elbows pointing straight back. And then exhaling as you lower back down. On an inhale, we're going to lift up to those knees. And then on the exhale, reaching the hips back. Moving with that breath 3 times through here. Inhaling forward to that kneeling plank. Exhaling, elbows bend as we lower all the way down. And then on the inhale, maybe you put a little more weight into those hands as we lift the chest, reaching it forward. Exhaling as you lower back down. Inhaling back up. And exhaling, hips reach back towards those heels. One more time through that, just going nice and slow, trying to make those movements intentional. So we're doing them on purpose. We're not just letting gravity or those muscles work without really noticing it or thinking about it. And making your way back to that child's pose. Just a nice full breath in here. Once again, a long breath out. Go ahead and turn those palms facing up towards the ceiling. Maybe bring those thumbs in towards the center of your palms, and then we'll wrap the fingers around the thumbs, and then gently try to draw those knuckles towards the center of those wrists. So a little stretch through the top of the wrist there. And then go ahead and unwind, bringing palms back to the floor, lifting the hips, tucking the toes, finding your downward dog. Maybe shake that head out, yes and no. Maybe walk out the heels. And then bringing everything back to center. Let's turn that gaze forward. We're going to take a few steps towards the front of our mats. Let's find that forward fold here. And on an inhale, we're going to lift halfway. So just bringing hands to those legs. Crown of the head reaches forward. Hips reach back. Exhaling, forward fold. Nice deep bend in those knees as we ground down into those big toes. Let's slowly rise up to standing. Feel free to bring those arms up with you. And then exhaling, hands to your heart. Finding your mountain for a moment. Again, think about the floor as it's connected with those feet. The floor lifting up into those feet to support you. Softening through those tops of those shoulders as we breathe out. And then on that next breath in, let's lift those arms all the way back up. Let's bring those hands together at the top. We're going to interlace the fingers, turning the palms facing up. Nice deep breath in as we turn that gaze up. And then on the breath out, we're just going to reach up and over to one side. And as you do so, think about those elbows drawing back. Try to bring them behind the head as much as we can. And then we'll inhale back up through center and exhaling to the opposite side. Inhaling all the way up. On the exhale, releasing those hands. Let's swan dive all the way down, finding that forward fold. Hands can come towards the floor, bending those knees as much as you need to. And let's step our right foot to the back, lowering down to our right knee as we untuck the toes. And then as we inhale, we're going to lift these arms, reaching them straight ahead, and our right arm is going to come underneath the left arm. So the elbows, right elbow underneath the left elbow. Right hand's going to lift up, and then the left hand's going to reach up as well. So options here, you can reach the back of the hands towards one another, or you can cross at those wrists, bringing palms together, fingertips to palms. And if this isn't accessible as well, you can always just wrap the arms around, giving yourself a big hug. Okay, so next breath in, try to lift those elbows up towards the ceiling, out away from the face, and on the breath out, dropping the shoulders down and back, feeling that nice stretch through the back of those shoulders. Just one more breath like that as we inhale, elbows lift. Maybe you start to turn that gaze upward as well. And then on the exhale, we're gonna unwind, bringing both hands to the floor. Right hand's gonna stay on the floor as we reach our left arm forward, and then all the way up towards the ceiling, finding a little twist in our lunge here. Actively reaching up through those top fingertips as we ground down into that bottom hand. One more breath as we lift tall. Then on the breath out, try to reach back behind you as far as you can, and then exhaling both hands to the floor. Lifting that back knee, we're gonna drop the back heel to the floor, and let's inhale and rise to standing. Exhaling, we're gonna open out to the side. And then inhale, front palm's gonna turn up, and let's lift into our reverse warrior. This back hand now, this left hand, you can leave it on that leg, or maybe try wrapping it around that lower back. Your hand might come to the top of the thigh, maybe it's just reaching forward. But wherever that back hand is, use it to actively drop that right shoulder down and back. One more breath as we lift up through those top fingertips a little higher. And then on the breath out, we're gonna straighten those legs, reaching left fingertips forward, and then all the way down towards the floor. And try to keep that back arm wrapped behind you. So maybe your hand's on that lower back, and maybe you're just pressing against the lower back to draw that top shoulder back. Or if your hand's on the top of the thigh, try to walk those fingertips forward a little more to help keep this top shoulder open. You might try turning that gaze up towards the ceiling, or maybe it's just out to the side, whatever feels more comfortable on the neck. And then let's find our breath. Two more breaths as we pause here. Feel free to adjust or modify however is needed. And then as you're ready, go ahead and unwind that top arm, and exhale, we'll lower everything, both hands back to the floor. We'll step this front foot to the back to our downward dog. Checking in here. And then inhaling, let's come forward to our plank. On the exhale, we're gonna lower to those knees, untucking those toes, and then just slowly and gently dropping the hips down towards the floor as we lift the upper body. Reaching the chest forward, drawing those shoulders back, and lifting as tall as we can through the crown of the head. On a breath out, drawing in through the navel as we reach those hips back, tuck in those toes, and lifting the hips high, downward dog. All right, we're gonna turn that gaze forward in between those hands. Maybe take a few steps, or you can hop, try to land nice and lightly if you're hopping. Finding your forward fold, we'll inhale, halfway lift, finding that long spine. Exhaling, forward fold. Dropping the chin towards the chest. Feel free to move that head side to side. Or forward and back. All right, nice deep bend in those knees. We're gonna ground down into those big toes as we slowly make our way back up to standing. Inhaling as you rise, exhaling out through the mouth. As we lower those hands back to our heart, maybe back down along those sides. Let's take a big shoulder roll down and back. All right, checking in what we feel in the body, one leg versus the other. Maybe you can feel the heart beating a little bit after moving around. Okay, and then next breath in as you feel ready, let's reach those arms all the way up towards the ceiling, interlace those fingers, palms turning up. Inhaling as we lift even higher, grounding down into those feet, exhaling up and over to one side, almost like there was a little wall alongside your body. You're trying to lift up and over it. And then inhaling back up through center, exhaling up and over to the opposite side. Again, try to draw those elbows back as we reach over to the side. Inhaling back up through center. Exhale, releasing those hands. Try to bring those hands back as you lead forward with the heart, bending the knees, and then find that forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling as you fold, left foot steps to the back. Lowering down to that left knee, we'll inhale, reaching those arms forward. This time our left elbow is going to come underneath the right elbow. Left hand reaches up, right hand reaches up. Maybe we cross that at the wrists. Maybe we're giving ourselves a big hug, whatever works for you here to begin to open through those shoulders. Inhaling as the elbows lift. Exhaling, dropping the shoulders down. Inhale, maybe you start to turn that gaze upwards if you want to add a little back bend, or you can always keep that gaze straight ahead. Choice is yours. Next breath in, we slowly unwind those arms, lifting them all the way up. And exhaling, hands to the floor. We're going to keep our left hand on the floor this time. Right arm's going to reach forward. And then exhaling, reaching the right hand up to the sky. Stacking those shoulders. Continue to reach the crown of the head forward as the tailbone reaches back. Keeping that nice space and long line of energy for the breath, for the energy to flow through the torso, through the body, through the mind. One more inhale as we reach a little higher. On the breath out, reaching back behind you. And then down to the floor. Maybe we lift that back knee and we step that left heel to the floor. Foot turns out to the side. We'll inhale, press it into the right heel as we lift all the way up to standing. And then exhaling as we turn and open to the side. Front palm turns up. Inhale, reaching forward. Exhaling, reverse warrior as that right hand lifts high. Maybe you keep that back hand on the leg, or you can wrap it around that lower back. Maybe to the hip, maybe to the thigh, maybe it just comes to the middle of your back. That totally works too. Find what works for you. Inhale, lifting a little bit higher. Try to draw that bottom shoulder back as much as we can. And then on the exhale, we'll keep that left hand where it is. Right hand's going to reach forward, straightening through those legs. And then right hand can lower down towards the floor. So we're just hinging at this right hip. Using the hand behind you or wherever it's at, even if it's alongside your leg or up high, try to draw that top shoulder behind you, as well as that left hip. Maybe finding a spot to gaze at, whether it's directly out to the side or up towards the ceiling. We're going to pause here for 3 full breaths. Using that breath, using that time to find, to notice if you feel a stretch, if you need to adjust, maybe come out of it a little more, or maybe hinge a little further. And then as you're ready, we'll slowly unwind, bringing that top hand all the way down towards the floor, and we'll step our front foot to the back, downward dog. Nice deep breath in. And long breath out. Inhaling forward, let's come back to that plank. Exhaling to those knees. Inhale, shifting the weight forward even more into the fingertips, into the crown of the head. And then on the exhale, we're going to bend those elbows, lowering all the way to the chest and the belly, sliding those forearms to the front as we lift onto the forearms. Palms can rest on the floor. Think about each one of those fingertips connecting with the mat underneath them. And then we'll inhale, lifting up through the crown of the head. The gaze can just be right off the tip of the nose. So our neck stays in line with the spine. And on an exhale, maybe try to draw the shoulders back. Inhaling, maybe the heart reaches forward. Exhale, see if we can soften through the legs, through the glutes. Just let them relax here. One more breath. And exhaling, go ahead and lower all the way down. Hands can come underneath those shoulders. We'll inhale back up to our knees. Exhale, tuck in the toes, hips reach back towards the heels. Inhale, lifting the hips high, downward dog. So we're going to flow through that one more time on each side, and we're going to add a little balance at the end. So on a breath in, maybe we lift our left leg, reaching it back, lifting up through the heel. Then on the breath out, we'll bend the knee, stepping it to the front. Lower into that right knee. Inhaling as we rise, right arm comes underneath the left, crossing those arms or giving yourself that big hug. And just inhale, lifting up through the elbows. Exhale, shoulders drop down and back. Inhale, slowly unwind, both hands to the floor. Right hand stays down as the left arm reaches up. Twisting towards that front knee. Exhale, reaching back behind you, all the way to the floor. Lifting that back knee, dropping that right heel as we inhale, lifting up to standing. Exhaling out to the side, warrior two. Inhale in your reverse warrior as that left arm lifts. Right arm wraps around the lower back. Exhaling as we come back through center, straightening that front leg, reaching the left fingertips forward and then down towards the floor. Finding that triangle with the arm wrapped. Slowly unwinding those arms. Go ahead and bring both hands back to the floor as you bend into that front knee. All right, we're going to shift our weight into that front leg. Slowly lifting that back leg off the floor. Both hands can stay out in front of that foot on the floor. You can stay here, or you might start to slowly come up to standing. Bringing that back leg to the front and then crossing those knees. So, crossing those knees here. Right arm comes underneath the left arm, just like we did in our lunge. Wrapping those elbows, wrapping those arms. Inhale, lifting elbows up. Exhaling, shoulders drop. You can always keep those toes on the floor. 2 more breaths as we hold. This is called eagle. Now I know I often say to find a place to focus on. I know your arms are right in front of your eyes. But see if you can soften the gaze through those arms. Find a spot on either side of those arms to focus on. As you're ready, you can unwind. Lifting all the way up. And exhale out through the mouth. Awesome, you did it. Let's try one more side, or the other side. One more time. Inhale, and as we lift all the way up. Exhale, go ahead and swan dive down, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, fold. We're going to step those feet back to our downward dog. And then let's inhale and lift our right leg. Reaching it back and up. It doesn't have to be very high. But then exhale, drawing that knee forward. Let's step that foot to the front. You can always help that ankle forward as needed. Left knee lowers to the floor as we untuck those toes. And we'll inhale, lifting those arms, bringing left arm underneath the right arm. Or giving yourself that big hug and just gently try to lift those elbows up as we exhale and drop the shoulders down. Inhale, unwind. Exhaling, both hands to the floor. We'll keep that left hand on the floor as we inhale, right arm reaches forward and all the way up towards the ceiling. And then exhaling, reaching back behind you and down towards the floor. Lifting the back knee, dropping the back heel, turning the foot out to the side. We'll inhale, lifting arms all the way up. Exhaling as we turn to the side. Inhaling, reverse warrior. Right hand lifts. Maybe that left arm wraps around the lower back. Exhale, slowly shifting that weight forward. Straightening those legs, hinging at that right hip. So right hand lowers down, left shoulder lifts up and back. Slowly unwind, both arms all the way to the floor. Slowly shifting that weight forward into that front foot. You can walk those hands out in front of that foot as needed. We'll lift that back leg off the floor. Maybe you stay here and just work on this 3-point balance. Or you can slowly make your way up to standing. Bringing that left leg with you. Crossing those knees, or maybe you cross the ankles and rest the toes on the floor. And then we'll bring left arm underneath the right arm. Both hands reaching up towards the sky. Exhaling as the shoulders drop. Maybe we settle down into those hips a little bit more. Maybe we wobble. Maybe we fall. We just get right back into it. Finding that breath. Finding that spot to gently gaze at. And then inhale, go ahead and unwind. Wow, that side was a lot harder for me. And exhaling, hands all the way down. Go ahead and shake it all out. All right, I know that was a lot of movement. You're doing great. Can't speak, excuse me. We're gonna go ahead and have a seat on our mats, and we're gonna lower all the way down onto our backs. So feel free to bring those knees with you if you'd like, lowering all the way down. If it feels okay on that lower back, maybe you move those knees side to side a few times. Just allowing that breath to start to come back to its natural, neutral pace. Feeling that heart slow down. And then let's slowly bring both knees over to the right side. Coming into our supine twist, but we're gonna bring both hands out to the right side as well. So you're on the right side of the body, palms are together. I know you can't see my palms, but hopefully that makes sense. Go ahead and just rest your head on the floor, and we're gonna turn our top hand, so that left hand, facing up. So both palms are facing up towards the ceiling, tops of the hands are connected to the floor. And then very slowly, we're just gonna move this left arm. As it starts to glide all the way up overhead, try to keep the top of that hand as close to or touching the floor as you can. As you start to, it's almost like you're drawing a rainbow all the way up overhead, nice and slow, until the arm comes all the way out to the other side. And the purpose of moving it slowly is so you can really feel through the shoulder, through the chest, through that pectoral muscle, where you hold on to some tightness. You can pause anywhere along the way. If you find a spot where you're like, oh, yeah, I feel that. Maybe just stay and breathe for a few moments there. See if you can allow it to let go a little bit more. Or you can continue to move that arm up and back. Or maybe you get all the way to the other side and you turn your gaze to the left as well, and you can pause in that twist. Again, this is time for you to notice and then choose how you want to move, how you want to pause. It's called interoception, this concept of noticing this internal sensation, any type of feeling inside the body, anything from like hunger to a stretch to a tightening, any physical sensation in the body, and then deciding how you want to address that, whether it's through movement or stillness. Go ahead and slowly make your way back around. Back to where you started as those hands come back together. And then whenever you get there, no rush, we'll slowly roll onto our backs. Coming back to center for a moment. Allow those shoulders to rest on the mat, the feet to pause on the floor as well. And then we'll try the other side. So go ahead and roll onto that left side body. The left knees come together. Fingers, hands reaching out to that left side. And then we'll turn that right hand facing up. So both palms are facing up towards the ceiling. The tops of the hands are touching the floor. And then starting to move just that right arm. Keeping it as close to the floor as you can. As it begins to make its way over to the opposite side. Again, just going nice and slow. Probably slower than you want to. Pausing anywhere along the way. And using that breath to help those muscles release a little bit more. can soften through the face, through the jaw, through the neck. Staying here for as long as you'd like. When you feel ready, slowly bringing that arm all the way back to the other arm. And then we'll roll onto our backs. Go ahead and bring those arms along the sides. Maybe try turning those palms facing up. You can keep the feet on the floor if that feels best on the lower back, or you can extend the legs all the way out in front of you. Finding a space where you feel comfortable here for this last little bit. Adjusting as needed. And maybe for one more time, just acknowledging the ground beneath you, where it's connected to your body, where it is lifting you up. And as we breathe out, just allowing the body and the muscles to relax into those connection points. Maybe moving that awareness throughout the body, starting from the very top of the head, moving all the way down to the fingertips and the toes, and just noticing any areas that might still be holding on tight. And with each breath out, see if we can let them soften and relax. You're welcome to stay here for as long as you have time for today. But whenever you feel ready, just very slowly coming out of it by bringing some movement in to the fingers and the toes. You might reach those arms up overhead and just take a big stretch from fingertip to toe. Or maybe you draw the knees in towards the chest, wrapping those arms around the legs, gently rocking side to side. Maybe finding one word that describes how or what you feel in this moment. Slowly helping yourself up to a seat whenever you feel ready. Just finding a comfortable spot there. And if you are still on your back, please feel free to stay there. Otherwise, let's finish that next breath out. And on a breath in, we'll lift those arms up. Exhaling, hands down to your heart center. And then just one more cleansing breath together. Let's breathe in through the nose. And then exhaling out through the mouth. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you feel a little more open through the chest and the shoulders, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.